Rain batters a kitchen window as a distressed grandmother clutches a tattered photograph of her son at a young age. The image evokes memories and sorrow, especially as he has just stormed out, leaving her with a profound sense of loss and unanswered questions about their relationship. She rushes to the door, her heart racing, only to find the street empty, amplifying her feelings of abandonment and despair. The intensity of her emotions builds as she contemplates what could have caused her son to leave, and she grapples with guilt and the weight of unspoken conflicts. Amidst her turmoil, a sudden sound of screeching tires catches her attention, and she glimpses a black car speeding away, igniting her trepidation about her son's fate. In the chaos, she notices a figure in the distance that sends chills through her. Fear and longing intertwine, prompting her to hope it could be her son. However, the figure vanishes, leaving her isolated once more. As she struggles with her emotions, the photograph slips from her grip and reveals surprising markings on its back, symbols that catalyze a surge of confusion and dread. This discovery hints at deeper mysteries, suggesting foreboding significance behind her son's departure and unleashing a sense of urgency to understand the hidden message that seems to target her personally. The interplay of rain, memory, and the unknown encapsulates her emotional landscape, immersing the reader in her anguish and the enigmatic signals that her instincts warn her not to disregard. Grandma reflects on a photograph while sitting on her bed, enveloped in an atmosphere heavy with silence that hints at underlying secrets. The silence belongs to her and her son. Earlier that day, their mundane breakfast turned turbulent due to a sharp argument, culminating in her son storming out after she attempted to communicate with him. As she replays the warning signs she had overlooked, such as his anxiety around strangers and the hidden notebook, she realizes a perilous change had infiltrated their lives, claiming her son that evening. A sudden message from him, instructing her to stay away, triggers panic. With trembling hands, she grapples with the ominous unknown that threatens to endanger him, leaving her anxious and determined to protect him, despite her ignorance of the source of this looming danger. The narrative unfolds on a foggy night as Grandma desperately searches for her missing son. Despite her calls, the only response is the echo of her own desperation. As she nears the end of the street, she spots a shadowy figure who initially resembles her son but turns out to be a man in a dark hood with a shining briefcase. The man taunts her, offering an envelope that claims everything she knew about her son was a lie and instructs her to open it before it's too late. Cautiously, she reaches for the envelope, but a screeching car interrupts her, and when she looks back, the man has vanished, leaving the envelope behind. Her hands tremble as she breaks the seal and discovers photographs, notes, and a tiny key. One photograph captures her son with unfamiliar people in an unknown location. In familiar handwriting, a chilling message urges her to find me before they take me forever. This revelation thrusts Grandma into a new and ominous quest stemming from the mysteries surrounding her son. Grandma returned home with her mind racing, consumed by fear and determination. After locking the door, she tightly gripped an envelope, which felt like a lifeline amidst the ominous sounds surrounding her. Upon spreading photographs of her son across the table, she was struck by the realization that he was entangled in an unfamiliar, perilous reality, infiltrated by strange symbols and shadowy figures reminiscent of those in the envelope. It dawned on her that her son was not merely missing. He had been taken into a hidden life that had always existed just out of reach. A date marked on one of the notes, tonight, sent a chill through her, as she understood that her son's peril was immediate. The once familiar city transformed into a labyrinth filled with threats and secrets, leaving her uncertain of where to begin her search. Her attention turned to a small, intricately designed key that felt unnaturally charged in her hand, suggesting it could unveil more than just a physical door. It had the potential to reveal deep truths about her son's fate. However, she grappled with the haunting question. What price would she pay to unlock these answers? And would this path lead her directly into danger? Grandma's determination to rescue her son culminates in a spontaneous decision as she braces against a heavy downpour and peals of lightning, setting off toward a bridge that looms over the river. The urgency of her mission is underscored by haunting echoes of her son's pleas, spurring her on despite her lack of familiarity with the perilous circumstances surrounding her. As she reaches the bridge, she is engulfed in a haze, and a fleeting shadow stirs her hope. However, her momentary optimism is shattered by an abrupt warning from figures lurking in the mist, affirming the life-threatening nature of the hidden conflict unraveling around her. Upon her arrival, Grandma is confronted with a heart-wrenching sight. Her son stands at the brink, visibly terrified and restrained. His hushed warning for her to flee amplifies her internal conflict. She is torn between maternal instincts to protect and her promise to fight for him. Igniting her resolve, she prepares to defy the danger, even as an ominous figure lunges toward her, signaling the imminent threat to their fragile bond. This situation encapsulates a dramatic struggle, emphasizing the themes of love, sacrifice, and the confrontation with hidden shadows within familial loyalty and adversity. In a tense and chaotic scene, Grandma is abruptly attacked by a dark figure, resulting in her being knocked to the ground amidst pouring rain. Despite her panic and fear, she strives to regain control of the situation as she hears her son's faint voice urging her onward. Finding a metal pipe, she swings it desperately at the figure, who evades her efforts with uncanny speed, indicating a level of foreknowledge about her actions. In a moment of desperation, she throws an envelope and key toward the assailant, momentarily stopping them. As Grandma takes in her surroundings, she notices her son bound and unaware of the immediate danger. Just as she fears the figure may charge her, she taps into an unexpected well of inner strength, propelled by the instinct to protect her son. A flash of lightning momentarily reveals the figure's face, which is eerily recognizable as her neighbor's. However, this once trusted individual now embodies a chillingly ruthless purpose, prompting Grandma to realize that this encounter transcends a mere kidnapping and involves sinister undertones that distort familiar relationships into menacing threats. Determined, she lunges at the figure, declaring that they will not take her son, only to be met with a pause and a chilling smile from her assailant, a silent promise of dire consequences ahead. The encounter encapsulates a desperate struggle against not only a physical threat but a deeper, more complex danger that threatens the sanctity of her family and her understanding of the people around her. Grandma finds herself in a dire situation, feeling a mix of fear and determination as she confronts the unknown threat that has taken her son. Clutching a shimmering key, which her son reveals to be a map of sorts, she realizes it holds the potential to unlock a hidden door crucial for saving him. As lightning flashes illuminate the scene, revealing a moss-covered door in a narrow alley, the atmosphere grows tense. Her son, bound but resilient, urges her to act quickly, lending urgency to her choice of confronting the mysterious figure that looms ominously. Despite her instincts to protect her son by running to him, the allure of the key and the quest for truth compel her forward. Amidst this emotional turmoil, her son manages to free one wrist and encourages her to escape, even as he prepares to distract their captor. However, Grandma's resolve wavers. She knows every moment is critical. Just as she takes a breath to step toward the door, the figure attacks, underscoring the stakes of her decision. Blood mingling with the rain signifies the gravity of her predicament, as she realizes the impending peril her next move could bring. The scene captures the essence of tension, parental love, and the fight for survival against overwhelming odds. The narrative begins with a tense scene as a grandmother confronts a menacing door, symbolizing fear and the unknown. As she inserts the key and opens the door, she discovers a dark spiral staircase descending into shadows, imbued with an unsettling aura of dampness and hidden secrets. The urgency of her mission, to rescue her son, propels her forward despite the lurking threat of an assailant behind her. As she descends the seemingly endless staircase, strange glowing markings guide her, while her son's distant voice echoes, blurring the lines between reality and imagination. Her growing fear is palpable, but the stakes of her quest compel her to press onward, knowing that indecision could result in irreversible failure. The plot thickens when she is suddenly confronted by the shadowy figure of her pursuer, who chillingly reveals that her son may not be hers to save, sowing seeds of doubt and despair in her heart. Despite the shock of his revelation, she steels herself and escapes deeper into the spiral. At the foot of the staircase, she enters a vast chamber filled with enigmatic artifacts and cloaked figures who speak in an unintelligible language. The climactic moment arrives with the sight of her son, bound in chains and seemingly diminished, surrounded by these mysterious entities. One figure, recognizing her, welcomes her with a menacing hiss, implying a sinister anticipation of her arrival. This final encounter leaves her entangled in a web of ominous implications about her son's fate and the true nature of the forces at play. Grandma, despite her trembling legs, is fueled by her son's pleading eyes, urging her to muster courage against the encroaching cloaked figures whose whispers grow increasingly menacing, like a chant designed to dismantle her resolve. She recalls the notes from an envelope and a tiny key that hint at a crucial ritual affecting her son's fate, realizing that this key may be essential to thwart the dark intentions unfolding before her. As one of the figures lunges at her, she ducks and rolls behind a stone column, feeling a lever protruding from the wall. Without hesitation, she pulls it, causing the floor beneath the central platform to shift, disrupting the figures and halting their chants. Her son looks on, torn between fear and hope, urging her to act quickly as she charges forward, key in hand, her heart racing with anxiety. With each step feeling like a weight against her, she notices a looming shadow threatening her progress. Just in time, she evades a swinging chain from a cloaked figure, narrowly escaping injury as sparks fly from the impact with the stone floor, eliciting a cry of alarm from her son. The tension escalates with a sudden crash reverberating through the chamber as an unknown entity approaches from behind her, heightening the urgency of her quest to save her son and stop the impending calamity. As the chamber trembled violently, a concealed passageway erupted, overwhelming the space with a blinding light that caused figures within to shriek and shield their faces. Grandma, clutching a powerful key that seemed imbued with life, joined them in shielding her eyes. Her son, bound in chains and filled with desperation, urged her to use the key. Stepping forward, she raised the key high, and glowing symbols mirroring those from the envelope illuminated its surface before radiating across the chamber floor like fiery veins. The cloaked figures, terror-stricken, retreated as the brilliant light pushed back the darkness. However, development took a dire turn as a monstrous figure emerged from the shadows, far larger than any human. It exuded an ancient menace, its glowing red eyes indicating its potent malevolence, and seemed to have awaited this pivotal moment for centuries. The urgency in her son's voice cut through the tension. He warned her of the relentless forces they faced, insisting that she must engage in the impending battle for their survival. In this moment of profound decision, Grandma felt the weight of the key and the legacy of unspoken family secrets rest heavily upon her. With her heart racing and her grip tightening on the key, she prepared to confront the darkness, stepping forward to perhaps what would be the defining clash of their fates. Grandma finds herself in a desperate situation as she holds a pulsing key, casting shadows in a dark chamber where a massive, menacing figure stands with glowing eyes. The atmosphere is tense, filled with danger, as her son struggles in chains, urging her to act swiftly against the approaching threat. Recognizing the foe as ancient and powerful, Grandma reflects on instructions she deciphered from an envelope, a ritual involving light and symbols to bind the dark entity. Despite the imminent threat, she knows success hinges on her stepping into the chamber's center, directly under the monster's observation, where one mistake could be fatal. With determination, she advances, her heart racing. The key responds by glowing fiercely as she carefully draws symbols in the air. This act causes the floor to illuminate with a brilliant light that sends the cloaked figures recoiling in fear and enrages the towering entity, which roars, shaking the chamber. Her son, filled with newfound hope, begins to recite words from the notes he discovered, joining his voice with hers. Their united efforts generate a powerful energy surge that overwhelms the cloaked figures, forcing them to their knees. However, as they near what seems like victory, the ground quakes violently, and a portion of the ceiling gives way, unleashing debris upon them, heightening the peril of their heroic attempt to vanquish the looming darkness. Dust engulfed the chamber as an elderly woman, referred to as Grandma, instinctively protected her son with her own body amidst an impending threat. A falling stone struck the key in her hand, causing her pain and awakening a realization. The key was not merely an object but a living entity imbued with ancient power, necessitating her focus, courage, and love to harness its abilities. As a formidable creature charged at them with unnatural speed, Grandma pivoted and lifted the key, feeling an energizing force that repelled the creature. Sparks erupted as the key clashed with the looming darkness, accompanied by a deep hum that resonated through the air. Meanwhile, shadowy figures adjacent to the scene recoiled in terror, retreating further into the obscurity of the chamber. Seeking to assist, Grandma's son rushed toward a lever he spotted earlier, urging her to join him in pulling it to potentially trap their monstrous attacker. With determination, Grandma cleared away debris, and they collaboratively activated the lever. This act initiated a mechanism that erected stone barriers, briefly separating them from the creature. However, the giant was relentless, effortlessly smashing through the barriers as if they were made of glass, causing the chamber to tremble with debris cascading from above. Recognizing the urgency of their plight, Grandma tightened her grip on the key, inhaled deeply, and reassured her son with a whisper of unwavering resolve. The key's luminescence intensified, erupting into a brilliant white light that penetrated the chamber's shadows. In response to this surge of power, the creature emitted a hideous scream, reverberating through the very walls as it lunged towards her, signaling a pivotal moment of confrontation. Grandma instinctively took control of the situation, raising a key that emitted glowing symbols which cascaded like fiery threads. This brilliant light momentarily stunned the giant looming before her. Stepping forward, she began chanting ancient words, infusing each syllable with the love she held for her son. Her son recognized the moment and began to chant in sync with her, creating an energy bond powerful enough to command the attention of the imposing figure. As they united in this effort, the entire room shimmered with intense radiance. However, the cloaked adversaries were undeterred and charged from the shadows towards them, seeking to snatch the key. With determination, Grandma swung the key, unleashing a wave of radiant energy that struck the attackers, hurling them violently against the chamber walls. Amidst the chaos, her son noticed a figure emerging from behind the luminous shield, a cloaked entity taller and more intimidating than the others. Full of dread, he whispered to Grandma, identifying the figure as the master, the orchestrator behind their foes, and expressed doubt about their ability to overcome this formidable opponent alone. Realizing that confronting the master would demand an immense personal sacrifice, Grandma felt a rush of fear but steeled herself. She moved closer to her son and raised the key with renewed resolve, despite the threat that loomed. The master's menacing red eyes glimmered with malevolence as it taunted her, demanding her son in exchange for their lives. Grandma, unwavering, firmly responded, "Not my son. Never," and boldly stepped into the radiant light, ready to confront the darkness. The scene unfolds in a dark chamber where a figure known as the Master exerts malevolent power, causing violent tremors. Amidst the chaos, Grandma clings to a key, her confidence wavering as fear envelopes her, but she finds solace in her son's reassurance that they are united in this struggle. The key, adorned with symbols, begins to glow, releasing bursts of light that challenge the Master's darkness, indicating a fierce battle between love and evil. Despite the intensity of the Master's malevolence, which escalates with each encounter, Grandma steps forward, channeling the key's energy and recalling the sacrifices made throughout her son's life. These memories, rooted in love and unwavering support, become a potent force against the Master. The Master's taunts, filled with arrogance, claim that Grandma will ultimately fail and her son will be lost to his grasp. However, as the confrontation escalates, Grandma is violently thrown back by a surge of energy, injuring herself in the process. Yet she quickly rises, motivated by the sight of her son's faint glow, a manifestation of the key's energy reacting with something deep within him. This revelation hints at a latent power within her son that the Master had overlooked. Realizing this, Grandma feels a surge of determination to awaken this hidden potential, igniting her hope in the face of overwhelming odds. In a tense and supernatural confrontation, a son discovers his latent power as his chest begins to emit a soft glow, rattling the chains that bind him. His mother, Grandma, is filled with hope and determination as she realizes that her son's abilities may surpass those anticipated by the Master, their formidable adversary. When the Master attacks with a wave of dark energy, Grandma recognizes that merely wielding a key is insufficient for their defense. Instead, her son's newfound power manifests as a protective shield, absorbing the Master's assault, which causes cloaked figures nearby to scream in pain. As Grandma steps closer to her son, she feels a profound connection, a bond of love and trust that she recognizes as their greatest weapon against the looming darkness. However, the Master retaliates with lightning speed, aiming its lethal claws at her son. In a desperate act, Grandma screams defiantly, vowing to protect her child. United in purpose, they channel their combined energies, crafting a surge of light that confronts the Master's dark force. The resulting clash propels both Grandma and her son backward, and when the chaos settles, they find the master has vanished, though they know the threat is far from over. In the aftermath, a chilling voice from the shadows assures Grandma that this encounter is merely the beginning of their struggles, warning her of the impossibility of perpetual protection. This narrative reveals the themes of familial bonds as a source of strength and the perpetual battle against malevolent forces threatening their existence. In a moment thick with anxiety, Grandma and her son stand amid chaos, left in the wake of the master's disappearance yet acutely aware that the struggle is not concluded. Grandma's son urges her to comprehend the complexity of their challenge, implying that it extends beyond unlocking a mere key or performing a ritual. Grandma, acknowledging his concern, examines the notes within an envelope stowed in her bag. These contain maps, unusual symbols, and cryptic instructions that have yet to be fully understood. She unfurls the papers on a fractured stone table, her fingers trembling as she traces a recurring spiral symbol that seems to emanate energy. This symbol is significant. It signals the origins of their predicament and alludes to a clandestine sanctuary where the master sources his power, a place that could either liberate her son or ensnare him indefinitely. Her son, sensing the urgency of their situation, insists they must act swiftly to evade the master's impending pursuit. Just as they ready themselves to depart, an unsettling shift in the chamber's atmosphere alerts them to a lurking presence. Grandma, with a racing heart, discovers a cloaked figure, younger and seemingly less menacing than others they have encountered, who offers assistance under the condition of mutual trust and immediate action. Without time to deliberate, the ground quakes violently, fissures spreading through the stone beneath them, indicating that a formidable force draws near, something that terrifies even the cloaked figure. This moment crystallizes the tension between their desperate need to escape and the unknown threats that loom ever closer. The narrative unfolds in a tense and foreboding atmosphere as a grandmother and her son navigate a perilous situation marked by supernatural threats. As the ground quakes and the chamber's walls tremble, Grandma urgently pulls her son toward a narrow spiral staircase, pursued by an ominous cloaked figure who warns them of imminent danger posed by the master's lieutenants. This figure reveals the stakes. Capture by these lieutenants could result in irreversible separation from her son. With every step up the staircase, the sense of danger amplifies, illustrated by shadows that flicker on the walls, seemingly reacting to the escalating tension. Upon reaching the top, they enter a dimly lit corridor adorned with faintly glowing symbols, signaling that they are intruding into a sacred space saturated with energy. The cloaked figure informs them that while they can reach the sanctuary through a door ahead, only one can safely face the final trial without confronting the master himself. This declaration prompts emotional conflict, as her son volunteers to confront the challenge alone, highlighting his bravado and desire to protect his mother. However, Grandma resolutely refuses to abandon him, emphasizing their commitment to face the ordeal together. As they approach the door, it shudders under mysterious pressure, and the young figure indicates that traps laid by the master await any who dare to enter. With a mix of trepidation and resolve, Grandma takes a deep breath and pushes the door open, leading them into an enveloping darkness that seems to sap light from their surroundings. Within this darkness, a chilling wind carries foreboding whispers, suggesting that their journey is fraught with formidable trials that threaten their bond and survival. The echoes ominously declare, "You cannot escape. You cannot protect him. It will all be yours to lose," foreshadowing a climactic confrontation with malevolent forces that could alter their fates irrevocably. The narrative unfolds within a vast and ancient sanctuary, characterized by walls adorned with moving symbols. The protagonist, referred to as Grandma, holds a key, and is accompanied by her frightened yet determined son. The atmosphere is charged with an unseen energy, hinting at the sentient nature of the sanctuary that tests intruders. As they navigate this perilous environment, a deep voice questions their presence, revealing the return of a malevolent entity known as the Master, who appears more shadow-like and absorbs light, gaining strength from their fear. In a moment of urgency, Grandma draws upon instructions from an envelope, using the key to trace protective symbols on the ground, which resonate with a hum, erecting a barrier of light against the encroaching master. Her son encourages her to remain focused as shadows lash out, targeting him. Demonstrating quick reflexes, Grandma uses the key to unleash a wave of light that momentarily repels the shadow. However, the flickering light poses a dire risk. Losing it would leave them vulnerable to the Master's attacks, culminating in a suspenseful cliffhanger that heightens the tension of their struggle for survival. Grandma and her son ventured further into a sacred sanctuary, guided by luminescent symbols along their path. A key in Grandma's possession resonated with her heartbeat, though fatigue began to set in, making each step a conscious struggle against encroaching darkness. They soon entered a vast chamber lined with mirrors that not only displayed their physical forms but also their innermost fears. The voice of a master echoed ominously, urging them to confront their weaknesses under the threat of losing one another permanently. Upon seeing a reflection of her son ensnared in chains and voicelessly screaming, Grandma knelt down beside him, reassuring him of his inner strength. As they pressed ahead, the mirrors began to morph and generate menacing illusions meant to deter them. One image depicted Grandma failing her son while another showcased the Master triumphant amidst a crumbling world. The narrative took a chilling turn as one of the mirrors shattered, revealing a distorted version of her son, filled with rage and hatred, who accused Grandma of abandonment. Undeterred, she raised the key and asserted her commitment to never leave him behind. As the vengeful reflection advanced, Grandma braced herself, but the moment it lunged, a blinding light erupted from the shards, catapulting them both to the ground, symbolizing a pivotal moment of confrontation and resolve. In a tense and atmospheric scene, Grandma observes a significant transformation of their sanctuary, which appears to become alive and unstable as the Master's whispers echo around them, challenging their determination. Her son acknowledges the peril ahead, indicating that the final trial awaits them. Despite her fatigue, Grandma resolves to proceed as they enter a corridor adorned with ancient pillars, each engraved with symbols linked to a mysterious envelope. The key they possess begins to pulse, suggesting urgency. However, their journey is abruptly obstructed by a formidable wall of darkness that the Master commands, declaring that passage requires sacrifice. Faced with this ominous barrier, her son questions the meaning of this sacrifice, revealing his fear. As the darkness threatens to engulf them, Grandma clutches the key, understanding that the only way to overcome this obstacle is through a decisive act of bravery, an essential leap of faith. Gathering her resolve, she steps into the encroaching darkness, ready to confront the unknown and seek their freedom. Grandma felt a chill as her foot touched the darkness, but the key in her hand emitted a bright light, illuminating a narrow path. Shadows around her whispered ominous threats, heightening her apprehension, while she maintained her resolve, bolstered by her son's companionship. As they progressed, the corridor appeared to stretch interminably, warping with each footfall, while the whispers intensified, instilling doubt in her mind, suggesting her efforts to save her son were futile. Undeterred, Grandma pushed onward, guided by the pulsating key. Suddenly, a formidable wall of shadows transformed into the terrifying visage of the Master, whose fiery eyes projected menace as he commanded her to halt, threatening the loss of her son. In a moment of solidarity, her son stepped bravely forward, reaffirming their unity in the face of fear, declaring their refusal to retreat. As the Master attacked, Grandma swung the key, resulting in a powerful clash of light against dark, creating a reverberating explosion that fractured the oppressive shadows. This blast unveiled a hidden stairway leading downward, deeper into the enigmatic sanctuary. With the key now thrumming vivaciously in her grip, a sense of warning enveloped her, yet she pressed on with her son by her side, stepping into the imminent uncertainties below. The narrative centers on a significant moment as a grandmother and her son descend a spiral staircase into an enormous underground chamber adorned with ancient carvings. These carvings depict a story unknown to the grandmother, with one particularly striking image showing a figure resembling her, holding a glowing key to protect a child from an imposing shadow. Her son recognizes their likeness in the imagery, suggesting a deep familial connection to the depicted struggle. The atmosphere shifts as the Master, a mysterious presence, taunts them, implying that their understanding of the situation is flawed and that they are facing a final trial that will expose their failures. The chamber's environment transforms, revealing a dark chasm filled with swirling voids, which creates an imminent sense of danger. A bridge made of light emerges from the key, but its instability causes concern as they venture onto it, pursued relentlessly by shadowy forms. As they traverse the bridge, a shadowy figure attacks, ensnaring the son with dark tendrils, prompting a desperate response from the grandmother. She wields the glowing key, unleashing its power to sever the tendrils, freeing her son and sending the assailant into the abyss below. Despite their momentary victory, the chilling laughter of the master reverberates around them, suggesting that their struggle is far from over and that the true test looms ahead, with the implication that they have merely postponed the inevitable confrontation with their fate. The narrative focuses on a tense moment as Grandma and her son approach a massive door adorned with spiraling symbols, mirroring those on a key she possesses. With determination amidst fear and exhaustion, they confront a formidable figure known as the Master, who threatens them with despair if they do not relinquish hope. Grandma fiercely declares her intent to keep her son safe, raising the key high. This action ignites a powerful glow that resonates with her maternal bond, triggering a transformation in the door as it unlocks with brilliant light. Despite the Master's menacing presence and chaotic response, they succeed in passing through the door into a sanctuary filled with warmth and light, symbolizing a refuge from darkness. However, as they enter, the ground trembles beneath them, and the key vibrates ominously, hinting at further challenges ahead. In a vast, luminous hall brimming with relics of wisdom and ancient scrolls, a sense of wonder envelopes Grandma and her son as they realize they have reached a significant milestone. Her son's eyes widen in disbelief, prompting him to question their arrival. However, Grandma recognizes that the journey is not yet complete as a menacing shadow, representing the Master's final effort to reclaim them, descends upon them. In a critical moment, the key they possess emanates a brilliant light, compelling Grandma to draw upon her deepest memories, sacrifices, and love invested in raising her son. As she raises the key high, the light expands, ultimately enveloping the Master and dispelling the shadows, leading to a profound silence. Overwhelmed with relief, her son embraces her, celebrating their victory and newfound safety. Yet, an enigmatic whisper lingers in the air, reminding them that while the bond of love outshines darkness, light and darkness coexist in unbreakable harmony. Grandma and her son find solace in the sanctuary after overcoming their trials, symbolized by a dimmed key she holds. Her son expresses gratitude, acknowledging that her love saved him, to which Grandma responds that love and courage are the true treasures. She reflects on the ancient wisdom surrounding them, understanding that their ordeal was a test, highlighting that love and family bonds are stronger than any darkness they faced. Embracing her son, she finally feels relief, knowing they have emerged stronger together. Their story, once about separation, has evolved into a powerful narrative of courage, sacrifice, and the enduring nature of family love, emphasizing that the greatest treasures lie not in material wealth but in the connections that bind them.